Howdy gamers, how's it going? Jester back at it again with another dogshit video. And today you might be taken a bit aback. And you're like, oh, this environment's a little different. And if you guessed that I'm in bed right now, you would be correct. One of the most requested things I've had in a long time was to do more story time stuff. To be honest with you, I have quite a few stories in my life, but not to put it depressing, a good amount of them that are very significant are not happy at all. But I do have some pretty humorous ones, so storytime stuff because I've lived a fairly uneventful life, in the sense of what can comedically be told. Don't expect these too often. And I did dig through the recesses of my memory to find another comedy video. And there's one story that I think might have been the funniest thing that I ever experienced, and the most ridiculous chain of events that ever happened to me. If you're a rich white guy, or a conspiracy theorist, you probably know what the Freemasons are. The Freemasons are a group of people, often very religiously based, that form select communities in almost every single town, and they have a great deal of influence of power on the most elite people that are in that city. And they have many different chapters, and there are a great deal of members, and almost all of them are the richest people in that place. So, and this is not a secret, private thing, conspiracy theory thing. They're very open. They're not very shy about who's in what. It's not a secret organization. Their members are public and proud of it. They're not out to do harm. They're genuinely just out there to form connections through a lot of old ritual stuff, but they're not predatory. And I was interested in trying to put my foot in the ring of Freemasonry. There are some people in my local community that were decent, good people, to be honest. Like, they were wealthy, and that always has some sort of criticism along with it. But they were good people and did good things, so I was interested in trying to do a part of the chapter that involved kids, or anyone under 18. So at the time, I was 17 years old. So I signed up and got into the youth version of the Freemasonry chapter that was in my area. Which, honestly, I was kind of excited about. It'd be a new experience. Whether I'd stick with it or not wasn't up for debate. I wasn't sure yet. And I went into this expecting it to be a very serious ritualistic thing with a great deal of formalities. That is very much so not what happened. As soon as it started, this was a very fresh youth chapter, so there needed to be electoral positions. And they entered us and explained the chapter of Freemasonry, explained what Freemasonry was. And they were like, okay, whoever of you would look to be in leadership positions, we will have, in the next meeting, you will give a speech as to why you should be elected in a leadership position. And you should be ready by the time we meet next week. So I thought to myself, I consider myself in the leadership type. I always excelled in leadership positions and naturally would always lean towards those sides. So I'm like, I'll give it a shot. And I planned and practiced this incredibly elaborate speech. Very serious as to win over, prove my leadership abilities, and show my confidence in speech. I think speaking in front of a crowd, which this was only about, 30 or 40 kids, so it's not quite like a massive crowd or anything. And to show my confidence in going and being in leadership position. And I expected it to be pretty strictly cut. So I spent an incredibly large amount of time practicing that speech and preparing it. And I wasn't shy about talking in front of crowds. So I went up, I believe I was the first person to go, and I went out the speech. From how I remember, it went very well. I was very proud of myself with the speech. And then enter another kid. This next kid did the next speech. This kid was mixed. He was a black kid. And he then proceeded to give what I remember as Obama's inauguration speech. He did an Obama impression and just role-played as Obama the entire time. Now, while that's fucking hilarious, what I think is underestimated is the setting. And I've made sure to go very elaborately before this to explain how formal and serious these people were. And this kid just got up and fucking did it, which props. And then after he did, there was another kid who tried to give a speech, but he was very shy and shaky and it didn't go very well. And so then after that, people voted. Everyone who did their speech, which was only 3 of us, from what I remember, they went away in another room as everyone else voted and spoke to each other about who they listened to. And this is how it was described to me because I knew people that were there. Everyone was very convincingly on my side, right? because they all took it very seriously. And then there became this growing opposition of memers, right? Because now, right, you could vote for the fucking asshole who just went up and spoke seriously, or you could have Obama. And so by the end of them voting, the majority of people voted Obama, but barely. And I almost fucking won. So now the kid who role-plays as Obama was the head of that youth chapter. I got some weird vice president position, and the third kid got a treasury position. And you had to sit in meetings, and then after that you had to be sworn into the youth Freemasonry, which involved a very serious... You go into like a church area, and you lay your hand on a Bible with the other 30 or 40 kids, and you would recite these things after the head of the adult chapter would say them to enlist into it. These were from, what I remember is like the equivalent of the Freemasonry Bible. It was like a general moral, conscious kind of thing, but not tied to a specific religion. Freemasonry, when I was there, wasn't. They were very careful not to... It was obviously like Judo-Christian morally influenced, but it was very up in the air. All you had to do was agree you believed in a god. Which at the time I didn't, but I wanted to go. And so we began the ritual where you lay your hand on their Bible. Then I looked a bit to my back and my left, and I saw there was a kid who had severe Down syndrome. Now, like I said, this was kind of rearing its ugly head as not quite as serious as I was going in expecting it. There was a kid with severe Down syndrome, and she can't read. So, for example, whenever we would recite them, the head of them would be like, "And you all shall serve your country as courageous men." And we would repeat in the crowd, "We will serve our country as courageous men." There would be about a 3-second pause. And then the Down syndrome kid was like, just yell it. And it took the most amount of self-control in my entire fucking life at that moment to not lose my shit. It was the funniest fucking thing I had ever experienced. And if it only happened once, I would be pretty okay. I could tank it. But this was like 2 hours. I'm not exaggerating. 2 straight hours of him doing that. And oh my god. Oh fuck. It took some self-control, let me tell you. There were multiple times where me and other kids we couldn't hold it in. We fucking laughed. I'm sorry, I'm an asshole. We laughed. Fuck it. We laughed. But holy shit. And so, I immediately took a great liking of this kid. This Down syndrome fellow, even though, to be quite honest, we were laughing at him, and I don't defend that, I liked him, because he made me laugh. And I didn't laugh at him, I didn't bully him or anything, but that's what happened. And so after that, we came back next week, and I saw that the Down syndrome kid was sitting alone. So I went to go sit with him. And his mother, who would sit in on the meetings, usually no adults are allowed, but they're allowed because of her kid. And I told her, it'd be alright, I can look after him. So I convinced the mother that I'd be able to take care of him. And so I really did. I genuinely tried, because this kid now, please understand I don't mean to be a massive dick, but he was like my pet at this point. This large Down syndrome child was now my pet. And what he did is, to keep him under control, I'd let him grab my belt, which I was wearing a belt like this. They're like the elastic kind of things. And a lot of times he would just pull on it really fucking hard. And it hurt. It hurt really bad. And he'd just go fucking crazy at times. Whenever he'd lose his temper, he'd just be like... It was really hard. And I withstanded that for the entire meeting, as I was sitting at the table. And now that I was in leadership position, I had some roles to carry out. But then I had to go do some leadership stuff, I think, elsewhere. And so I didn't look after him for a couple of seconds. And then I heard my brother, who was with me at the time, yell my name. And what happened was the Down syndrome child ran through the fucking, one of the emergency exits and started climbing up like a fire escape. Which, not good. Not a good thing. At that point, I looked at myself. I'm like, I don't think this is what I thought it was. This is getting in. This is the strangest experience. I don't think I'm going to come out of this with anything but losing my time past this. I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, this is the last time I'm here. And so he was up in the fire escape. By that time, his mother was there. By that time, people more responsible than me were there. They helped him get down. And I was like, I think I'm done with Freemasonry. If there is a God, I'm sure this is his sign that this is not my calling. And that was the last time I was there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. This was very off the cuff. I didn't really prepare it or anything. So the story wasn't quite as well thought out as I'd usually like. But hopefully you guys still enjoyed it. It was definitely fun to tell. I will try to think of more story time stuff. I am kind of a strange person. I get myself in strange situations pretty often. But 90% of my life is at home on my computer. So honestly, not as many stories as I would like to tell. Regardless, though, gamers, have a good one.